So if you could get a lower rate and a greater tax deduction, but lower your monthly payment by hundreds of dollars a month, and maybe best of all, pay your house off years faster, why wouldn't you do this? It's free to run the numbers, and it's no cost, no obligation. If we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time, and even credit scores in the 500s can be approved. We're licensed in more than 40 states, so what are you waiting for? Get a quick quote right now at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. And oh yeah, did I mention no house payments for 2 months? If you haven't already, you don't have to make your May or your June payment. You're done until July 1st. Start saving some money today at savewithconrad.com. Go watch it. This is, in my opinion, if I had a different finish, I might say it was the best match on the card. As it is, I have it right behind the Dean Malenko, but you know what you're getting with these two, do you not? I mean, when you just see on a card, Jericho Benoit, you know, well, that's going to be a fucking barn burner.
Consistency, and they're consistently good. It's just a matter how good will they be tonight? Are the stars all aligned?
Right.
But again, these guys didn't have a lot to say about the finish, i.e. nothing.
Sure.
I'm going to look for a way to get a winner. I either want the emotion of happiness or unhappiness, discomfort, anger, angst. One of the two emotions, not indifference and oh God, I didn't like that. I should have been. Why'd they do a disqualification? Because back in the day when these disqualifications were more in tune, the back information on what wrestling is or isn't was not as clarified. There was no social media. Now, if you have a disqualification finish, whether it's well timed, well executed, or whatever, many fans look at it as lazy booking. And quite frankly, I agree with them sometimes. You can't make everybody happy. So somebody should have lost. And in that case, it would have been Jericho, right? Because Benoit was the champion.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, you guys say, guys, Chrissy, I need you to put Benoit over. He's going to retain the title. I need a 1, 2, 3. So you guys figure out something and bring it, and let's talk about it. And they would come back with, here's what the office wanted. You give them the guidelines. But instead it was like, well, I'm sure what it was is nobody could really agree on what they wanted to do. Or maybe the office said, we don't want to beat Jericho. Beating Jericho and getting screwed adds more fuel to the fire than an indifferent, benign disqualification that's not going anywhere. Just to get us out of tonight's conundrum. So, but I'm with you, man. That if the finish had been a little bit more on point to where it was advancing the story, then I would have been like you. It'd have been a higher rated match, probably one of the best matches on the show. As it was, it still was one of the best matches on the show.
Sure.
It just left the fans feeling kind of empty with the disqualification finish. And I'm glad that hopefully all promoters and promotions will take advantage of this. You gotta admit, man, fans know a lot of information. They're smart. They're knowledgeable. They're educated. That's why we have such a good audience, because Conrad, you're so goddamn intelligent.
Oh my gosh. We do have one of the smartest audiences around because we get to break down sort of the nuances of all of this. But to be clear, I'm cool with the DQ finish. I just think it should be on TV. Like if you're going to make me pay $30 or $35, I want to see a fucking winner.
Yeah. Good. That's a good thought. I agree with you.
Next up, we see a video package airing showing Vince screwing The Rock out of the world title at WrestleMania. They show clips from TV leading to this match with Linda McMahon saying that Steve Austin is going to be in The Rock's corner. And then on the final SmackDown before Backlash, Austin blows up the DX bus, which is a great visual. And then The Rock is interviewed by Michael Cole, and Rock says no matter what, he's walking out as the WWE champion, and it doesn't matter who he has to go through. He'll go through them all because he's making history tonight. They get plenty of time, 19 minutes and 24 seconds. As a reminder, Shane McMahon is the referee. Vince and Stephanie are in Triple H's corner, and McMahon announces, saying, hey, we've always said the card is subject to change. Well, Austin won't be here. And throughout the show, they've tried to stack the odds, showing that Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe have aligned themselves back with Vince, and that Austin mysteriously hasn't arrived, which of course essentially guarantees that he will. And JR on commentary is bringing up internet rumors that Austin might be turning on The Rock. Vince is going to keep interfering, as you might imagine. Eventually, though, we see a run in of Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe. They're coming out with referee shirts, And, you would mention that perhaps Patterson got back from the parade early, and, Patterson and Briscoe attacked the Rock. And, you know what's coming. Eventually we see Steve Austin's music play, and he's going to come down, hit Triple H, Patterson, Briscoe, Shane, Vince, and Triple H with hard chair shots. And, eventually it leads to a little bit of help with Linda McMahon and Earl Hebner. And, Rock uses a spine buster, people's elbow. Hebner counts the fall. Rock is your new world champion. And he's celebrating, but he's interrupted by Austin's music, and they tease the idea they're going to fight, but instead they toast each other. And, it's sort of left that, hey, we're going to do something in the future. They start playing Rock's music again as the show goes off the air, and that's it. 3 3/4 stars. And this match essentially sets up a rematch, for an Iron Man match between the two at the next pay-per-view. And Rock and Triple H have had a long rivalry going back seemingly to the beginning of Rock's run here. But what a finish to the pay-per-view. You know, you get the big explosion with, oh my God, he is here. So it makes sense. This whole tease all day about where's Austin? Where's he at? And here's the big payoff. You saw it this week for the first time in 20 years. What'd you think?
I liked the match. I liked, you can make an argument there's too much interference and too many outside elements at play that may have cluttered it for some people's tastes. But I liked what Dwayne and Hunter did. I thought they had a real good outing. They had good chemistry as well. You know, I saw here a few weeks ago, not that long ago, Hunter being acknowledged for celebrating 25 years in the wrestling business. Is that 25 years in WWE, I guess?
Yeah, 25 years in WWE. I think he started in 95. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it somewhere along in that neighborhood. Where Rock had acknowledged it, which was nice. But they had good chemistry, and they were on the same page basically. I thought, I remember, speaking of Hunter, it was Evansville, Indiana. He and I sitting on one of those anvil cases, the cases that you use to carry your equipment in to keep, camera equipment, lighting and things to keep them from breaking, and very, very secure. They're very heavy. He and I were sitting on an anvil case, hammering out the final arrangements on his new contract to where he got the magic number, of $1 million a year. And he deserved it. I mean, it wasn't a big deal there, but getting to that number, Vince did not authorize me to do those $1 million downsides very often. And Hunter got his, and like I said, he deserved it, but he was, I remember him, for some reason, it still sticks with me. He looks at me, and it's the same way to the boys in the office. The boys in the office. Fucking excuses. It's the office. The fucking office screwed my goddamn push-up, Conrad.
I hate that.
The office. It's always somebody else. Displaced responsibilities. So anyway, he says, he very stern, looked at me in the eye and said, "Are you sure nobody's got a better deal?" I said, "Yeah, I'm very sure." "Are you doubting me?" "No, I just want to make sure." I said, "Okay, well, you're sure. Nobody in this company has a bigger downsize guarantee than you will have when you sign that contract. Is that what you wanted to hear?" "Yep." Then he shook my hand, and off they went, and there he goes. Now if he made $1 million a year, it'd be a giant cut in pay.
Sure.
So, but I remember that very well. But back to the original topic, Rock and Hunter had great chemistry, and they're both in their, prime time. They were just as good as they're going to get, just about. And I enjoyed the whole presentation. But again, if there's any negatives to it, it may be the simple fact, as I mentioned, there could have been more outside interference and more distractions than some people's taste would allow. I liked it.
I liked it too. And I think a lot of our listeners feel the same way. We asked, hey, do you guys have a question for JR about Backlash 2000? Drop it here. If you'd like to ask a question about next week's episode, and let me tell you, it's going to be great. It's Wrestle War 1989, which is the blow off of the Steamboat Flair trilogy and the introduction of Terry Funk. Just great stuff. Can't wait to talk about that one. If you've got a question, just drop it at JR Grilling. That's our Twitter handle. It's at JR Grilling. But one of our questions, I guess one of the more predominant feelings, came from Just Chris. He says, at the end of the show, did you, like me, feel like Backlash 2000 was a better show than WrestleMania that year? We just covered WrestleMania, where there was a McMahon in every corner. And I think most fans felt like the involvement of Steve Austin, the Big Rock celebration, rather than Hunter retaining, this is a better finish to a show. What say you?
Yeah, it's hard to say it was a better show from the standpoint of the sizzle and the presentation, the grandiose nature of WrestleMania, the specialness of that event. But I can tell you that the in-ring product from start to finish was badass. And I could see people making a very valid argument that the bell to bell on Backlash 2000 was actually a notch above the bell to bell on WrestleMania in 2000. But I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know if people are going to say, well, he's knocking the WrestleMania. No, I'm really not knocking. You're not knocking it either. It's a good question. And quite frankly, if you're managing correctly, you've God dang, Conrad, you want to improve. Every show should get better. We should be better every time. But there's always going to be more sizzle
right
at WrestleMania than any other pay-per-view. But the steak is still going to be the steak, and that always is what concerned me the most and what interested me the most, still does this very day. So I can see a very valid point being made. Bell to bell, probably a better show than WrestleMania. Overall sizzle, nothing compares to WrestleMania.
I hate Steven Singer. You know what else I hate? Everything that's happening in the world right now. Our hearts break for those that have lost loved ones, those who are ill, struggling small businesses, and everyone affected by this. Normally, Steven Singer is in the love business and the happiness business, and this is the time when I would announce his new rose color for Mother's Day. But this year, well, it's different. I'm announcing his brand new I Love You 24 karat gold dipped rose. It's a beautiful pink blush rose color that will hopefully brighten your loved one's day. But Steven wants to put a little love in everyone's day, so he's using a portion of every rose sold to support local restaurants by purchasing catering for the incredible nurses, doctors, first responders, and hospital workers. You can purchase an I Love You rose and know you are sending love to the moms in your life while supporting independent restaurants and thanking our essential workers. If you're looking to celebrate someone, simply say I love you or honor mom on Mother's Day. Steven Singer is shipping as fast and safely as humanly possible, and Steven treats his customers as family, and he's here for you. So go right now to IHateStevenSinger.com for free and touchless delivery and include a personalized message of love. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Chris Miles writes in, why was this main event chosen for Backlash 2000 instead of WrestleMania 2000? It seems like this would have been one of the more memorable WrestleMania main events of all time. I think that's really what people hang their hat on. They just didn't like a McMahon in every corner in a 4-way match as the main event. I understand without Austin, you feel like, man, let's just throw everything at it. But I do think this main event was better than the WrestleMania main event. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. The multiple person main events at WrestleMania normally fall a little short of expectations because it's hard to, in that case, in 2000, you got to try to get spotlights on 4 people. That's hard to do and maintain it and keep the audience's interest because there's constant things going on. There's not a singular focus. You got wrestler 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm not a big advocate of that. I mentioned earlier the Charlotte, the triple threat match the ladies had. That's an exception to the rule. There have been a few others, but not many. I would say more often than not, the multiple person matches at WrestleMania is a shortcut on booking and a little bit lazy, quite frankly, in my estimation. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think it's not attraction driven. Oh, it's got all the star power and all this. Maybe we overvalued having a McMahon in every corner. But I think having 4 people in the main event is not the right formula, quite honestly. So, and it also, Conrad, answered our fans' question. It's easy to look back in hindsight and rebook this whole goddamn thing.
Of course.
So Why did they do that? I don't know. It fit the story. It fit the story, and maybe the McMahon thought that we were not ready